Every photo you delete, every text you think you erased, every secret you hide behind a password, it's all still there, waiting for the right eyes to find it. Tonight, you're about to see how one girl's laptop, buried under layers of lies, revealed a truth that was never meant to be uncovered. But the deeper the forensics team dug, the darker the secrets became. And the real nightmare? Some evidence can't be deleted, even if it costs you your life. This is Unraveled Crime, and this is a journey into a new breed of murder, where the killer leaves no fingerprints, but always leaves a trail, in ones and zeros, digital footprints, encrypted secrets, a web of truth buried under lies. What you're about to see isn't just a story, it's a map of betrayal, power, and the data that can destroy it all. And the ending? It will stay with you. Subscribe, stay curious, and join us as we unravel every hidden clue. Emma Collins was a bright, fearless journalism major. She chased stories no one else would touch. Fraud, corruption, corporate espionage. Her professors warned her to stop digging. Her friends said she was getting paranoid. But Emma didn't care. She had just one rule: expose the truth no matter the cost. On March 12, 2017, Emma vanished without a trace. No signs of forced entry. Her apartment was locked from the inside. Her phone was gone, and her laptop, the only clue, was still there, powered down, hidden under her bed. At first, local police thought it was a runaway. Maybe stress, maybe burnout. But her parents knew better. They hired a private investigator named Joel Harris, a former homicide detective with one rule: no dead ends. Harris quickly realized that Emma's laptop wasn't just a computer. It was her vault, her evidence locker, her diary, her confessional. But there was a problem. Emma had encrypted her entire hard drive. And the password? Impossible to guess. So Harris called in a favor, a digital forensics expert named Mark Bennett. What Mark found would pull him into the deepest rabbit hole of his entire career. Mark Bennett wasn't your typical computer guy. He'd worked for a federal cybercrimes unit for over a decade, cracking drug rings and fraud syndicates. He knew how to break into files that didn't want to be seen. But Emma's laptop was different. It had triple-layer encryption, password, biometric lock, and a dead man's switch that would wipe the drive if triggered wrong 3 times. Mark spent days cloning the drive to bypass the self-wipe. He ran brute force algorithms for weeks, and just when he thought he'd hit a wall, he noticed something strange, a hidden folder disguised as system junk. Inside that folder, clues to the password, buried in photo metadata, out-of-focus text messages, random screenshots. It was like Emma had left a trail, just in case. Once inside, Mark found more than he bargained for. Dozens of deleted chat logs, all with one contact: Nightshade. Their conversations were short, coded, coordinates, dates, and cryptic warnings. Don't trust them. They're watching. Meet me when the time is right. Emma had been planning to meet Nightshade at an abandoned textile mill 2 miles outside town. The timestamp on the last message, just 12 hours before she vanished. Harris and Mark drove to the mill. Rusted steel doors, broken windows, the floor littered with old police tape. But no sign of Emma. In the main office, Mark's flashlight caught something, an old flip phone, dead, with a cracked screen. Mark bagged it. Back in his lab, he pulled the SIM card, one saved number, one last outgoing call, to Emma's phone. But the call log didn't end there. Mark traced the tower pings. The call had bounced off 3 cell towers outside the city. The path formed a line straight toward a cabin deep in Blackwater Forest, a place no one wanted to go after dark. 2 days later, Harris and Mark geared up. They found the cabin, boarded up, windows blacked out, padlock on the door. Inside, dusty furniture, rotten food, and in the corner, an old desktop computer covered in tarps. Mark powered it up. The screen flickered, a login prompt and a single sticky note stuck to the monitor. Trust no one. Mark booted a live forensics OS from a USB. What he found was chilling. Folders named after dates, each with short videos. Emma's face. She's scared, whispering to the camera, "If you find this, don't trust the police. Don't trust anyone. He's everywhere. She glances behind the camera. Then the video cuts. There were more videos, each filmed in different places: a bus station, a motel room, an empty library basement. Emma's paranoia grows with each clip. She talks about files she stole from a pharmaceutical company, leaked emails, hush money, and a name she repeats again and again: Nightshade. But each time she tries to say more, she stops, looks off camera, like someone's forcing her to hit record. Mark ran facial recognition on the reflection in one of Emma's videos. It came back with a hit: a disgraced private security contractor named Richard Hale, former Black Ops, off the grid for years. Hale had been linked to multiple whistleblower disappearances, none proven. But why Emma? Why the secrecy? Mark realized the laptop wasn't just the vault, it was bait. Someone wanted it found but not decrypted, and the deeper Mark dug, the more encrypted folders he unlocked, each darker than the last. Emma's final files were audio recordings, hushed meetings in parking garages, snippets of arguments, threats. She had been selling the pharma leaks to an anonymous buyer. The money was supposed to fund her exposé, the final story that would ruin an entire corporate empire. But someone turned. The last recording is just 5 seconds. Emma's voice, trembling. "You promised I'd be safe." Then a male voice. "You shouldn't have trusted me." Gunshot. Silence. Mark knew he was next. He encrypted his own copies of Emma's files, stored them on hidden drives, spread backups online in deadman drops. He told Harris he'd cracked enough to blow the case wide open. But before he could deliver the final piece, the full Nightshade ID, Mark disappeared. Gone. No sign of forced entry. His home office, untouched, except for one thing: Emma's laptop, placed neatly in the middle of his desk. Powered off. No password. Authorities called it a dead end. Harris calls it a cover-up. Somewhere inside Emma's laptop is the last piece. The full truth behind Nightshade. Who they are, who they work for, and what they did with Emma. To this day, the encrypted drive remains locked. But rumor has it fragments of Mark's backup started surfacing online, on hidden forums, dark web threads. Some claim they've seen the uncut files. Some say they're next on Nightshade's list, but no one's lived long enough to prove it. After Mark's disappearance, Detective Harris went dark. He knew someone was watching. He spent months tracing Mark's digital footprints, forum posts, encrypted emails, deadman drops hidden on abandoned blogs and dark web vaults. One clue led him to a burned phone hidden in an old locker at a bus terminal. Inside the phone, a single text chain from Mark, a string of coordinates, passwords, and one final message: "If you're reading this, I'm gone. Finish what Emma started." Harris pieced it together and cracked Mark's backup. What he found wasn't just Emma's files. It was Mark's private notes, timestamps, IP addresses, hidden audio clips of calls he intercepted from burner phones. Mark had been following Nightshade's money trail: offshore accounts, shell companies, bribes, all tied back to a biotech giant, Virocore Industries. Emma's final exposé wasn't about hush money. It was about an experiment, a human trial gone wrong, and someone was silencing anyone who knew. Virocore claimed to be developing vaccines, but buried in the files were medical records, test subjects paid off the books, experimental drugs, deaths disguised as overdoses. Emma had snuck into one of their abandoned sites weeks before she vanished. Mark's photos show her standing in a dark hallway, hazmat suit, hidden camera, vials labeled with serial numbers. One photo shows Emma holding a USB, the same USB Harris found duct-taped under Mark's desk. The files inside, corrupted. But one name appeared again and again: Project Echo. Harris dug deeper. Using IP logs Mark left behind, he traced Nightshade's messages to a secure server hosted offshore. But one login pinged from a public library terminal just a mile from Emma's apartment. Security footage showed a hooded figure, face hidden, plugging in a drive, logging off in under 4 minutes. Harris froze the footage. On the person's wrist, a distinctive tattoo: crossed syringes. Harris called in a favor from an old contact at Interpol. Days later, a name came back: Dr. Helena Voss, former ViroCore research director, presumed dead in a lab explosion 6 years ago. But the tattoo? A match. Harris tracked rumors of a hidden lab, deep beneath an abandoned industrial park outside the city. Mark's last notes hinted Emma's final footage was shot there. Harris geared up, wired a hidden body cam, and went alone. The entrance was a rusted freight elevator, powered by an old diesel generator. As he descended, the signal from his cam flickered. The lower he went, the colder it got. Hallways lined with discarded medical beds, empty IVs, rows of filing cabinets charred by fire. But in the back corner, a locked server cage. Mark's backup drive had the passcode. Inside the server, terabytes of video, security footage from the night Emma disappeared. Harris watched, horrified. Emma arrives at the lab alone, guided by encrypted messages from Nightshade. She's wearing a hidden camera, her breathing shaky, her voice low. This is it. If I don't make it out, find Mark. She enters the lab. A shadow emerges behind her, Dr. Helena Voss. Their argument is hushed but heated. Voss tries to take the USB. Emma refuses. She threatens to go public. Voss pulls out a vial, holds it up. Emma flinches. The footage glitches. A struggle. The final frame. Emma's terrified face, staring right into the lens. Then static. Harris copies everything, but just as he pulls the drives, he hears it. Footsteps, heavy boots, voices on radios. He kills the lights, slips into the shadows, heart pounding. A security team sweeps the lab. Black uniforms, no insignias. One man stops where Emma stood in her final frame. He kneels, lifts a floor tile. A hidden trapdoor. Harris's camera zooms in. Beneath that door, another level, another secret, another piece buried deeper than anyone knew. Harris barely escapes, clutching the drives, heartbeat echoing in his ears. By the time he surfaces, black SUVs circle the perimeter. He flees through the industrial park, climbs fences, hides in drainage tunnels. Hours later, he reaches a safe house, battered, exhausted, but alive. What he doesn't know, someone's watching. His burner phone pings. A message pops up. You found it. Now run. No sender, no reply. He smashes the phone, tosses the SIM, but he knows he's already marked. Back at his hideout, Harris scans the new footage. He sees Voss talking on a secure line. Nightshade must stay hidden. If he surfaces, everything collapses. The pronoun strikes him. He. Voss isn't Nightshade. She's the handler. So who is the real Nightshade? Mark's notes mention a whistleblower inside ViroCore's board, someone who vanished months before Emma. Harris rechecks the offshore accounts. All the hush money traces back to one alias, Aiden Mars, ex-CFO, declared dead after a yacht accident 2 years ago. But if Aiden Mars is alive, he's Nightshade. And he's the only one left who knows what really happened to Emma. Harris leaks fragments of the footage to draw Mars out. Within days, he gets a ping, an encrypted message. Meet me where it all began. Come alone. Bring the files. Harris drives through the night, back to the abandoned textile mill where Emma vanished. Inside, everything is exactly as it was. Broken glass, cold wind, Emma's missing shoe still half buried under a beam. A figure steps out of the shadows, hood up, voice low. You have no idea what you're about to unleash. Mars pulls back the hood, and what Harris sees stops him cold. Gunfire erupted inside the old mill. Harris ducked behind broken machinery as shadows closed in. Mars, Nightshade, grabbed his arm, hissed, "If they catch me, you're next. Take this, run." He shoved a tiny black drive into Harris's pocket. Then Mars sprinted into the darkness, drawing the men away. Harris bolted for the side exit, but too late. Boots slammed the concrete behind him, a blow to the back of his head, and darkness. When Harris woke up, he was zip-tied to a steel chair in an abandoned processing plant, flickering fluorescent lights, dripping pipes. Across from him sat a man in a tailored suit, calm, deliberate. He introduced himself only as Mr. Calder, head of security acquisitions for Virocor's private division. The smile never reached his eyes. "Where's the drive?" Calder asked softly. Harris didn't answer. Another blow, another question. "Where is Mars? Where's Emma's source files?" Harris stayed silent, replaying Mars' last words. "Run." Calder leaned close, voice a whisper. "Did you really think Emma was the first or the last?" He slid a folder across the table, photos of other whistleblowers, journalists, scientists, even low-level lab techs, all dead, staged as overdoses, suicides, car crashes. "Your friend Mark? Just another loose end." "But Mars, he's more dangerous. He built Project Echo's payment chain. He can burn everything down. Unless you tell me where he is." Harris spat blood, glared up. He'd seen monsters before. But this was different. Virocor didn't kill people to hide mistakes. They killed to keep making them. Hours later, left alone, Harris worked his wrists against the zip ties. The room hummed with the sound of a distant generator. He felt the tiny drive still taped under his belt. He knew he'd get one shot. He rocked the chair, slammed it back. The impact knocked a rusted pipe loose. He pried the pipe free, jammed it under the chair arm. The zip tie snapped. Footsteps outside the door. Harris shoved the tiny drive into his sock and braced. Two guards stepped in, one holding a taser. Harris lunged, swung the pipe. The first guard crumpled. The second slammed him into the wall. But Harris grabbed the taser, jammed it into the man's neck. Sparks flew. The guard dropped. Harris bolted. Alarms blared. Red lights strobed. Harris stumbled through the maze of shipping containers and broken catwalks. He crashed through a door into the night. Cold wind, distant sirens. He vanished into the dark, the tiny drive still with him. Harris reached out to an old contact, Priya, a freelance hacker who owed him her freedom. Together, they booted the drive on an air-gapped laptop in a safe house basement. Inside, files Mark and Mars stitched together, Emma's raw footage, Virocor's leaked lab reports, and a master access key. But one folder was different, labeled Lazarus, password protected, triple encrypted. Priya stared at Harris. "You open this. You can't go back." Harris just nodded. Inside Lazarus was something no one expected, a video confession, a flickering image, Mars sitting in a candlelit room. "If you're watching this," Mars said, "I'm probably dead, or I've run too far to come back." Project Echo was never about vaccines. It's a bioweapons program, funded by private money, tested on runaways, refugees, anyone they thought wouldn't be missed. Emma found out by accident, a line item buried in the wrong budget. She threatened to go public. I told her I'd protect her. I failed. Mars looks directly into the lens. "If Calder finds you, run. If they find this drive, you're already dead. The only way to kill Virocor is to expose Lazarus. The rest is up to you." Harris and Priya stared at each other, heart pounding. Exposing Lazarus would crash markets, ruin powerful people, maybe start a war. But hiding it? That would mean Emma, Mark, and dozens of others died for nothing. They spent hours dumping the files, duplicating them on hidden servers, mailing copies to trusted journalists. But they knew it wouldn't be enough. Virocor would come for them. Priya encrypted the laptop, set a dead man's switch. If she didn't check in every 48 hours, the files would flood the internet. Harris wrote one message to Calder. "You lose." He hit send. They didn't have long. Within hours, Harris saw the black SUVs outside the safe house window. Priya grabbed the backups. Harris checked his pistol. They slipped into the night, vanishing into an old subway line beneath the city. The subway tunnel was silent, except for Harris's phone ringing in the dark. Mark's voice was shaky, distant, like it was bouncing off a dozen relays. "Harris, listen carefully. You need to move. Now. They're not just watching you. They're inside your circle. You think Priya's the only hacker? Calder has people everywhere." Harris stared at Priya, who froze mid-step. She mouthed, "What's he saying?" Mark continued, "The Lazarus files? That was bait, a distraction. They wanted you to release it, to flush out the last names, the real test group. Emma was onto it. So was I. But there's another layer. Harris asked, "Where are you, Mark?" Static. Then, "Somewhere safe, for now. But I found the real vault. It's not just test subjects, it's blackmail. Politicians, CEOs. They tested on their own people to make sure no one talks. You have to find the Kestrel file. It's the kill switch." Priya grabbed Harris's arm. "He's right, I saw a fragment. The drive Mars gave you, it's a map. Kestrel is hidden in plain sight." Mark's voice dropped lower. "They're coming. Don't trust anyone, not even—" The line cut out. Silence. Harris and Priya ran. The tunnel echoed with distant footsteps, shadows moving fast. They reached an old maintenance ladder, climbed to a street-level grate. As they pushed it open, headlights, SUVs boxed the alley. Harris shoved Priya behind a dumpster. A voice barked, "Harris, Priya, step out now. This doesn't have to get messy." Calder emerged, perfectly calm under the sodium lights. "Hand over the drive. You can disappear, or you can disappear another way." Priya whispered, "I have a back door, but we need to stall him." Harris raised his hands. "You want the files? Let's talk." While Harris stalled Calder with fake negotiations, Priya slipped a tiny plug into the sewer access port, rerouting her signal through a hidden LTE node. She triggered a hidden upload, Kestrel fragments, pulled from the map Mars left behind. Her laptop buzzed. Decrypting, 12%. Calder stepped closer to Harris. "You know what's funny? Emma begged for her life too. So did Mark. So will you." Harris smirked. "You sure Mark's dead?" Calder's smile flickered. Just for a second. Calder signaled his men. The first guard lunged. Harris swung the open grate lid, knocking him cold. Priya grabbed the laptop, the upload at 27%. They bolted down the alley, ducking gunfire. They crashed through an old loading dock, up a rusted fire escape. Priya turned. "If this hits 100%, the whole world sees it." Harris. "And if it doesn't?" Priya. "Then we're dead." They made it to a safe house Mark mentioned, an old speakeasy hidden behind a false wall in a condemned bar. Inside, a single laptop left humming on a table, its fan whirring like a heartbeat. Harris plugged Priya's drive into Mark's laptop. The screen flickered. A single prompt. Enter code. Priya. What code? Harris remembered Emma's clue. The metadata puzzle Mark cracked. He typed Emma's birthday, the date she vanished, then Mars's yacht accident date. The screen unlocked. Inside, Kestrel. Dozens of names. Video blackmail, secret meetings, payment ledgers, even recordings of Calder himself, ordering hits, staging accidents. The kill switch was real. Harris turned to Priya. "We can end this. Blow the whole operation wide open." But Priya's expression changed. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She didn't answer. Harris's gut twisted. Who was that? Priya stepped back, eyes cold. "You think I owed you? You think I'd die for Emma? Mark made a deal to protect his family. So did I. Calder offered me double." Harris. "You sold us out?" Priya. "I'm sorry, Joel. I really am." She drew a gun. Harris ducked behind the bar. The first shot splintered glass. He grabbed Mark's laptop, crashed through a side door into the night, bullets sparking off brick behind him. Harris stumbled through abandoned back streets, laptop clutched to his chest. Priya's voice echoed behind him. "You can't hide. He's already watching." He ducked into an old movie theater, locked the lobby doors behind him. He propped Mark's laptop on a broken candy counter, booted a hidden LTE signal, his last chance to upload Kestrel before Priya or Calder's men found him. He typed furiously. Passwords, backdoors, dead man's switches. Progress bar, 42%, 67%, 79%. A click behind him. Priya, gun raised. Priya, "You should have run when you could." Harris closed his eyes, ready for the shot. But instead, a voice. "Drop it, Priya." Mark stepped out from the shadows, disheveled, pale, but alive. He held an old revolver steady at Priya's head. "Mark, you were always good, Priya, but you forgot who taught you the backdoor tricks." She turned, fury in her eyes. "Mark, they'll kill your family if you send this." "Mark, they already did." He pulled the trigger. Silence. Priya collapsed. Mark fell to his knees, exhausted, bleeding from an old wound that never healed right. Harris grabbed his shoulder, helped him to his feet. Together, they stared at the laptop. 99%, 100%. The Kestrel files detonated across the web, whistleblower sites, news feeds, social media. Virocor's darkest secrets, inescapable. Calder's empire crumbled in real time. But deep in the shadows, a darker message appeared on Mark's screen. Just 3 words. Kestrel was Phase 1. Harris turned to Mark. "What does that mean?" Mark looked at him, eyes hollow. "It means this isn't over. Not by a long shot." In the weeks after the leak, the world burned. Protests filled streets from Chicago to Berlin. Virocor's board members vanished overnight. Some arrested, some found in hotel rooms with mysterious accidents. But behind the headlines, deeper threads pulled tight. Harris watched a news anchor choke mid-broadcast, later found poisoned. A top prosecutor who promised to try Calder was killed in a fake car crash. Someone was tying off loose ends faster than Harris could track. Mark knew the signs. This was no longer just Virocor, this was the Umbra network. Umbra wasn't a company, it was a syndicate, old money, military contractors, cyber mercenaries. They'd bought Virocor decades ago as a puppet to test dirty tech, biological weapons, and experimental surveillance. Kestrel was their fail-safe, a blackmail vault if the board ever turned on them. Now that Kestrel was public, Umbra needed to wipe every trace, including the people who cracked it open. Mark and Harris knew they had days, maybe hours, before Umbra found them. But there was one last file Mars had hinted at in his confessional, SPECTRE. They regrouped at an abandoned radio station, Mark's last dead-drop safehouse, cracked windows, dusty consoles, hidden cell jammers to block trackers. Harris pulled out the last encrypted shard from Mars's drive. Priya, before her betrayal, had labeled it SPECTRE, but the password was missing. Mark typed lines of code, desperate. Emma left breadcrumbs. She always did. But before he could crack the string, Harris heard the dogs barking. Outside, a black SUV idled. Laser dots flicked across the window. Mark whispered, "Run." Bullets shattered glass. Harris dove behind an old console. Mark fired back with a stolen sidearm, but he was still weak, the old bullet wound reopening under the strain. Harris grabbed the laptop, smashed the rear exit open. Smoke bombs rolled across the floor. The Umbra team moved in, masked, tactical gear, black as oil. Harris dragged Mark through an old basement stairwell, out through a sewage culvert into the freezing night. Behind them, the safe house went up in flames. Harris knew there was only one person left who could help unlock SPECTRE, Valentina Ruiz, a rogue NSA codebreaker turned fugitive. She once cracked a state firewall using nothing but a burner phone and a half-finished latte. Mark objected. "She can't be trusted." Harris, "Neither can we, but she's all we've got." They tracked Valentina to an abandoned subway control hub under Philadelphia, a neon den of old servers, surveillance feeds, and encrypted sat links. She greeted them with a smirk and a loaded shotgun. "You boys look like ghosts. What's in it for me?" Valentina leaned over Mark's cracked laptop, scanning the SPECTRE header. "You want this unlocked? It's not just code. It's a live link, a hidden worm that calls home when you open it. You crack this wrong, Umbra knows your address, your blood type, your last meal." Harris, "Can you do it?" Valentina's grin widened. "For a price. When this goes live, I get immunity. I vanish. New passport. New life. You boys get your smoking gun. I get my sunrise." Harris and Mark exchanged a look. They nodded. They had no choice. For hours they sat in the freezing underground, Valentina hammering code while Harris stood guard with Mark's revolver. The first firewall cracked, then the second. Each layer peeled back more than just files. It bled out names, high-level military contacts, Umbra board members, offshore bank transactions, an operations blueprint for something called Sentinel Dawn. Mark read the first page. This isn't just Umbra. They're planning a bioweapons deployment, controlled pandemics to crash economies, buy cheap, rebuild new regimes. Emma didn't even see this coming. Valentina turned. One more layer. Once it's out, there's no turning back. Just as Valentina cracked the final line, the old hub's lights died, plunged into pitch black. Backup lights flickered. A soft chuckle echoed through the tunnels. Calder stepped out from the dark, flanked by two Umbra enforcers in black masks. Calder, I told you. Phase 2 was always about you, Harris. You're the final test. He held up a small device, a remote trigger. One press. Valentina's dead. This hub floods with nerve gas, and Spectre dies with you. Mark raised his revolver, but Calder just laughed. Really? With what family, Mark? You're empty. And you, Harris? Ready to lose another friend? Valentina gave Harris a look, a flicker of a nod. She mouthed, "Stall him." Harris. Calder, we can make a deal. Umbra can bury Spectre. Just walk away. You get your empire back. Calder, you think this is about money? This is evolution. Valentina slammed a hidden switch. The emergency shutters dropped. Sparks flew. Calder's remote clattered. Mark fired. One Umbra guard down. Harris tackled Calder into the console. Sparks, screams, static. Valentina jammed the final upload. Spectre shot into hidden nodes across the darknet. When Harris came to, Calder was gone, a smear of blood where he'd been. Mark lay slumped against the server rack, breathing shallow. Valentina patched the final feed, her screens alive with downloads, names, addresses. Harris, is it done? Valentina, it's done, but you should see this, the last page. She turned the screen, a simple line of text. Sentinel Dawn operational, 72 hours. Harris stared. Mark groaned. What is Sentinel Dawn? Valentina whispered. It's phase 2, and it's already live. The screens flickered. One final encrypted feed. A voice spoke, calm, cold, inhuman. Hello, Joel Harris. Welcome to the New Order. If you believe in uncovering the truth and standing for justice, we'd love your support. Like the video, subscribe to the channel and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your voice matters, and you help make this community stronger. We'll be back with another case, right here on Unraveled Crime.